Republicans are not only targeting the FBI, the party that claims that Blue Lives Matter wouldn't even stick up for the officers who protected them when their lives were at stake. They seem to forget that it was just 4 months ago that Officer Brian Sicknick, who died after engaging with the insurrectionists on January 6th, lay in honor in the Capitol Rotunda, a rare and fitting tribute to his heroism that day. Last month, Officer Sicknick's longtime partner, Sandra Garza, and others lobbied Senate Republicans for an independent commission to investigate the insurrection. And yet, Republicans blocked it. And Sandra Garza joins me now. And Ms. Garza, thank you so much for being here. I've seen your interviews. I've been very much looking forward to talking with you. I want to first get your reaction to what you just heard from Scott McFarland. The idea that there were fellow brother officers that were attacking men like your husband, people like your husband were injured by people like Thomas Webster, who himself was a former NYPD officer. What do you make of that?
Well, Joy, first, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on your program. And Brian was my longtime partner, but it's absolutely loathsome. It's detestable to think that other law enforcement officers were out there attacking Capitol Police, Metropolitan Police, and other sister law enforcement agencies that were out there that day. I can't even wrap my head around it. It's so saddening, and it's unbelievable. I actually was invited last week by the National Association of Police Wives to do a Facebook Live interview. And they were absolutely sickened by what they had heard as well. Other law enforcement officers out there attacking their significant others, their spouses, and just the overall, cold shoulder by members of Congress. Where they were defending them, protecting them, and not only that, defending democracy that day. These Republicans claim to be the patriots, the people that love America the most, and yet how are they showing that they love America? These people were out there beating these officers with American flags, blue line flags, and they were willing to allow these people to overthrow the will of the people and to allow Donald Trump to go in there with brute force and overthrow what the American people wanted. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's maddening.
And, what's striking here is that you go back and you think about the fact that this guy, Ali Alexander, who's still in hiding, had claimed in advance that there were members of Congress who were helping him set up the events at the Ellipse that happened before the attack on the Capitol. Paul Gosar is one of them. Andy Biggs is one of them. Mo Brooks is one of them. This is what Paul Gosar, who's one of the people who, again, is named by one of the organizers of the event that preceded the attack that wound up causing or contributing to the death of Brian Sicknick. Here's what Paul Gosar, this is how he questioned FBI Director Wray this week.
Why hasn't that officer that executed Ashley Babbitt been named when police officers around the country are routinely identified after a shooting?
What do you make of the fact that Paul Gosar is demanding that this officer, who actually, we talk a lot about shootings that are, questionable on this show. This is one that was not questionable from a law enforcement perspective. This officer had to do what he had to do to protect everyone behind that door. And he did his job. What do you make of the fact that Paul Gosar wants his name out there?
Well, I think, first of all, I think he should be scared to death and wondering if FBI Director Wray is going to start investigating him for posing with photos with a Proud Boys member, and also why on earth he is attending a white nationalist conference. And I'd like to know if that is being done on taxpayers' dime. That's my concern here. We know that a lot of these white nationalist groups were the most responsible for instigating the events that happened on January 6th. And here we have a member of Congress that is going to conferences. It's unbelievable. So I think, FBI Director Wray has actually more questions for him than he has for Director Wray.
What have you dealt with in the aftermath of this? I mean, you are out there, and you and Brian Sicknick's mom have been on Capitol Hill. Is that something you've ever done before? I doubt this is an experience that you're used to doing. You've put yourself out there. What has been the reaction that you've gotten?
No, I have never done this before. And as I was saying yesterday, I'm just a regular person who happened to be thrust into this due to the events of January 6th. Like most, I would say, people who were moved by the footage of that day. I was appalled, and I could not sit idly by and do nothing. Also, obviously, in addition to knowing that someone I loved very much suffered and saw his colleagues suffer during, his last moments on Earth, I felt compelled to do something. And because of that, sadly, I have received a lot of backlash and unkind comments online. But, that's not going to stop me from doing the right thing. I feel that this is more important than dealing with trolls and people who hide behind, fake names and not even putting their photo out there, and, people's, opinions. But it is difficult. I'm not going to say it's easy. I think some people have the misconception that this is fun for me. It's not fun. But I feel compelled to do it, and Gladys, I know, feels the same way. It's something that has to be done.
It's very brave of you to do. I have to ask you to react to the fact that, Andrew Clyde, who's a member of Congress from Georgia, refused to even shake the hand of Andrew Fanone, who's a Metropolitan Police officer who may have saved his life. We saw Andrew Clyde helping to barricade the door from the insurrectionists, and Mr. Fanone, Officer Fanone, has suffered terribly. He had, brain injuries and incredible injuries, a heart attack. What do you make of the fact that Mr. Clyde wouldn't shake his hand and that Republicans don't want to give congressional gold medals to these officers? I mean, that could have been Brian Sicknick had he survived. He might have been the guy whose hand Andrew Clyde refused to shake.
That's right, Joy. And you know what? It makes me incredibly angry. It's not right. It's unfair. And I think they're all cowards. They're more concerned about their political careers and appeasing the Donald than they are in doing the right thing. And it's, detestable. These people fought for hours and endured incredible abuse. I mean, not to mention, Officer Dunn, who endured hours of racial slurs, so much to the point that he literally fell to his knees, was so emotionally overwhelmed in dealing with that. And this is how these people are going to repay them, by holding up the Congressional Gold Medal of Honor. I mean, it's absolutely disgusting. And you know what? Their family members need to put pressure on them, because they need to be thankful to all of law enforcement that day that saved their lives. They need to put pressure on them and say, hey, listen, you need to do the right thing here. I'm glad that you're here with me, that we are here eating dinner together, that we get to spend each day together. The only reason we are able to do that is because of law enforcement that day.
Yeah, it's hard to say Blue Lives Matter if that's how you're treating things. We are out of time, but tell me one great thing about Brian Sicknick that people should know, that you would love for people to know.
He was a warm, gentle person, and it hurts me that he had to deal with what he did. He got along with everybody, and it's a shame the people who attacked him, they probably would have been friends with him.
Yeah. Well, I'm so sorry for your loss. Please pass our condolences on to Brian's mom. I've seen the pictures of you two together. Lovely. So thank you so much for being here. God bless you, Sandra Garza. Thank you.